Hi Stampers, my name is Sandy Hancock. I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator and I'm coming to you from Southern California. So I'm going to say welcome to part one of a series of two that I made on the Autumn Expression, or the Splendid Autumn suite. I'll show you the parts of the suite. So the first thing we have is the set and the dies. Then we have the faux glass dots. We've got let's see, what is this? Wild wheat ribbon. And then we have golden leaves that are really pretty. And then of course the 6x6 DSP, which is what I'm featuring today. Now, the reason I'm going to show 6 cards today, they're all basically made the same way and have the same dimensions. And then next week in part 2, I'm showing the other 6 cards, and they're all different. And so I thought I'm just going to show all the cards that are the same first. They don't look the same, but the way you make them is the same, and I didn't really feel like you needed to see me stamp and make them. So let me show you the first one. Okay, so here, okay, this is the first sheet, and here's the first card. So Grateful for You is one of the greetings in the set. And I've used, the base card is Cajun Craze, and then I used Crushed Curry, and then the DSP. So it's, the base card is 5.5 by 4 1/4. The Crushed Curry is cut down 1/4 of an inch, so it's 5 1/4 by 4. The DSP is cut down by 1/4 of an inch, so it's 5 inches by 3 3/4. And every single one of the designs basically is this way. And so that's why I thought, well, I don't think you really need to see me put the layers together. Inside, I have a 1-inch strip cut off from the end here to put inside. Now, before I move to card number 2, I'm going to show you another greeting that's in the set. So I took the second piece of this designer paper. So there are 48 sheets, 12 designs, 4 of each design. So I took the second sheet of this same design and simply put a different greeting in there. So have a perfectly lovely day, and I like both of them. I think they're both really, really pretty. And I did the same thing for the inside. Okay, so even though they're simple, sometimes I love to be able to make a beautiful card that's simple. Okay, so that's what these are today. They're beautiful cards that are simple. Okay, so that's card number 1. Card number 2 is using DSP that's very dense in color, primarily cherry cobbler, and then there is some Cajun Craze and again, Crushed Curry. So here's my card for number 2. And you can see the dimensions are exactly the same, except I did something a little different with the greeting. So let me show you what I did with the greeting. There is a bundle in the new catalog, and it's called Peaceful Season. I think that's the name of it, Peaceful Season Bundle. So it has a lot of Christmas greetings in it. And then the dies are here to cut out all the greetings. Well, one of the dies in it is this long right here. And so what I did is I stamped Dear Friend, I cut it out, and now what you would do, don't be afraid of doing this, it's so easy. You just set your die right on top of it, put your, if you're doing it for the first time, just check and say, oh yeah, it's the same. I mean, if you mess it up, do it again, but it's so easy. So you're gonna cut out Dear Friend. Then for the layer that you see here in Cajun Craze, I used one of the greetings from the Changing Leaf set. So if you don't have either one of these, then you can go to Stylish Shapes, or you can do something a little bit different. So what I did when I got this piece of paper, I literally just cut out, one end of it, because you don't really need the whole thing. And then what I would do after I have Dear Friend cut, I would set it on top of here and see how big I need to make this one. And then I would tape it on and go cut it out. So please know that this is really, really simple, whether or not you use these 2 dies or if you have 2 others that go together. I was just trying really hard not to cover up all this beautiful DSP. Now inside, I did something a little different, and it's this die. And you kind of go, well, is this a purse or what is it? Technically, it's really not a purse, but you'll see here's the chain. Here's a little, what would you call it? Like the lip to the purse. If it were to be a purse, you can look at it in the catalog and see that they really haven't made it into a purse. But anyway, those are the pieces that I used. And I also used the Changing Leaves embossing folder to emboss this 1.5 inch piece. This little fern, or whatever piece that is, that's in the set also. And just added rhinestones, and I think it's really pretty. Because obviously I can't put Grateful for You on the front of this, or it's just going to cover up way, way too much. Okay, so there's card number 2. Okay, now here's the DSP I used for card number 3. And when I first look at this, it's like, well, I guess it's okay, you know. However, when I cut it down and add the faux glass dots, I think it's more than okay. I think it's really, really pretty. I used Cajun Craze and Garden Green for my layers. And then the faux glass dots, which come in the suite, I showed you that. And I used, of course, Cajun Craze ink. Now, one thing I will tell you, I used my Stamparatus for the stamping because it could just be my pads. They're really not wet enough, probably. I was pretty sure I was going to have to stamp that more than one time. If you have a super nice wet pad, I think I even tried to re-ink mine, but anyway, I just felt more comfortable using a Stamparatus or whatever type of instrument you have that can allow you to stamp 2 times. And on this one, let's see, what did I do? I put sky here because, you know, the first time you make a card, you don't always know, you know, what to do. Next time I make this card, I'm going to cut 1 inch off here first. So I'll have that strip cut down that I can put down here. I don't just love seeing the sky in there, but at this point, I don't really have much of a choice. Okay, so there's card number 3. Okay, now card number 4. You know, I kind of had the same response to this piece of DSP. Well, okay, it's kind of pretty. Then when I cut it down, I went, wow, this is really pretty. So I used Cherry Cobbler for the base, Cajun Craze for the second layer, and then just cut my regular, you know, 5 inches by 3 3/4 for the DSP. And again, the glass dots. I stamped the greeting in Cherry Cobbler. Just very pretty. What did I do inside? Yeah. So take an end, but you have to cut the end off first. Because if you cut it off second, which is what I did before, then you're going to have a shorter strip and it's not going to work well. Trust me, just cut it off first. Okay, so there's, what is that, card number 4? Okay, and once again, you know, I looked at this and I thought, well, that's a really pretty piece of paper, but it doesn't just bowl me over. However, when I cut it down and I added some Highland Heather and Gorgeous Grape, and then I used Gorgeous Grape ink for the Grateful for You, and I used some of the fine, what do they call them, shimmer gems. Anyway, they're beautiful. What are they called? I'll tell you exactly. Purple fine shimmer gems. Okay, so it's amazing when you cut something down and frame it. It just is so, so beautiful. What did I do inside of this one? Yeah, I had sky on this one, which, you know, it doesn't just thrill me. So like I said, next time I will know to cut off 1 inch because I didn't cut off anything from here. I didn't cut off anything on the right, so I have at least 1 inch here that I can cut off. Okay, so that's card number 5. And card number 6. Again, it's very dense in color. Cherry Cobbler, Cajun Craze, and some Garden Green. So when I cut it down, and I use the Dear Friend again, I think it's quite pretty. It's, like I say, very dense in color, but when you focus on the path, then I think it's just really nice. Now on this one, I used 4 layers, if you'll notice. I wanted to get in cherry cobbler, Cajun craze, garden green, and then the DSP, because it really needs all those colors to make this particular print pop. So dear friend, and then once again I did this. So 1.5 inch strip that I used the Changing Leaves embossing folder on. This comes right out of the set. Grateful for You is in Cajun Craze. Okay, so I'm going to put all of these out so that you can see them and take a picture. Okay, I showed you both of those, right? Okay. And we'll put that one there, this one here, this one here, and I think you can see all of those. Okay. So go ahead, and if you want to take a picture of all of them together, there you go. So I think they're all pretty simple, but I actually like all of them a lot. I think they're really, really pretty. Now next week, when I show you part 2, it's going to be the other 6 sheets of designer paper, and they're all going to be different. So I put these together because they're all basically the same format. Next week, they're all going to be different. So now I'm going to show you one more little bonus card. So my grandson just left for college. And for the people who have come from close to my heart and joined Stampin' Up, they have certain sets they can order that we can't. And this one is called Toadally Awesome. And you have to know my grandson to know that he's going to love this card. And so this is the set. It says, congrats on your new pad. That's what really drew me to this, because, you know, they just got his room all set up and school starts tomorrow. So he's quite excited about being a freshman at San Jose State University. And here's the card that I made for him. So this has nothing to do with anything, right? Okay, so this paper is the Lily Pond Lane that's in our catalog. And I've used Lost Lagoon, that's my main color. And then Granny Apple Green, that's my layers. I did have to cut out Mr. Froggy by hand, which wasn't terribly exciting. And then the lily pad and the greeting are also Lost Lagoon. And then I just happened to find these little bees from who knows when, I have no idea. And I have eyes like that, all different sizes of eyes. And so I thought my grandson is really going to get a kick out of this card. So it comes like this. And then it's going to stand up. It stands up really great. And I don't know, I think he's just going to get a real charge out of it. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, even though it's not anything that you can buy. I have a neighbor, she's almost a neighbor, like a couple miles away, who is one of the close to my heart makers who joined Stampin' Up. So that's how I got access to this set. So anyway, thank you again for joining me, and I'll look forward to seeing you next week for part 2 of the Splendid Autumn Suite.